Okay, a couple of last things in closing. One, make sure you put the belt on in the right direction. We didn't mention that. But the back part of the belt, if you notice the slope, it's steeper than the front part. It's the slopier of the two angles that comes towards the ball and scoops it up. When these belts come out of the molds, they have mold release on them. So what we do is we sand the surfaces of them. And a brand new belt, the surface is going to be real dry and tacky by comparison to once it's in the machine for a little bit. What's going to happen is if you don't have the ball lift set exactly in there right when you first turn it on, that belt's like that, the belt's going to pop off. So what you want to do is get your troubled ball. Like every house has got a troubled ball. Or if you got balls in your house that are slimy or something like that, make sure you throw them down there. If you need to, put a couple of drops of oil on the ball, and I mean a couple of drops because that's going to make the ball slimy. And just spread it around the ball and then start the ball going up and around. And take note and see if the belt's twisting and make your adjustments from there. And once it's in for a day or so, if you're like every other house and all the balls are slimy, you're going to have a slight coat of oil on the belt. Leave that oil on there. If you want to clean the belt at any time, just wipe it off with a dry rag. I mean, don't go using any harsh detergents on it and trying to get the oil off. If for some reason the ball isn't coming up and you think that you got to clean the belt, you're wrong. These belts are not going to build up enough oil and it's going to stop the ball from coming back. Your problem is somewhere else, either in the adjustments or something. So providing you set it up the way that we showed you in the video and you tweak it out like that, no matter how much oil that will ever get on the ball during normal play, the ball's going to come up. I kid you not when I tell you, when you first put it in there, get a ball with some oil on it, some natural oil off your rack or something like that would be fine. And if all your balls in your house are dry, which I doubt, nowadays they're all slimy it seems, put a couple of drops of oil or a little bit on the palm of your hand, spread it around. Just get some oil on the belt and leave it like that. After a while, it'll start to polish down a little bit, and you won't have to do that. That's only when you first start it up. Plus, you're going to want to test out some of your trouble balls, and they'll come back. So a good investment would be this. Well, we're calling it the green thing here, but the belt saver. Each one of these green pieces are in two separate sections, so the V is protected. It's not riding in the V at this point. But it's going to protect your V. It's going to help stop the belt from popping off. You can control the speed over here. It's a really cool thing to have. Same thing with the links. What I would suggest is when you rebuild a spare ball lift or something like that, put a set of these links on there, and eventually you'll get the whole house switched over. They're a little more money than a cast aluminum one. Keep in mind, when you make the cast on an aluminum one, once the cast is made, it's real cheap to make the part. Every one of these links are machined. So, you might be looking at twice the cost a little bit more, but it's going to last longer than you or I, and it's going to work a whole lot better in your machine. If this was something you did 10 years ago, you wouldn't have belts and problems that you're having now, belts popping off and different things happening now. So, start switching that stuff over. Another thing you want to keep in mind is on your very first unit, you have to get a template, unless you've got the 4 holes in there, the tube from a PBL unit. But you're going to have to put the lower support on, so you need a template. You can use that template over and over again. Another thing that you're going to have to do, and sometimes the sales reps, people forget to mention it. They don't do it deliberately, but they have a million products that they sell, and to remember every little thing, we do ball returns and different things, we can remember it. But that's your belt tension. It makes you paddle go back and forth. This is the original equipment pulley on there, and if you notice, it's about 2.5 inches wide or something. It's a pretty big pulley. You're going to need to slow your paddle down with a reduction pulley, and you replace this. The small pulley is real small in these. So you got one for the 70s, you got one for the 30s. And another thing you're going to need, if you don't already have it, chances are you already have a reduction pulley on. Most people have switched over to those things a long time ago. But these hydraulic shocks that's running the paddles, if you got an 8230 or well, you can have an 8272 with a hydraulic shock, but they're not going to have enough power to push the ball up. Keep in mind, with a kicker, you're going uphill. So if a ball gets in there, the paddle's got to knock the pin kind of downhill from your saddle. On a PBL or on our unit, with the way the rings are set up, it's gravity fed. The ball falls down. So if you get a pin in there, you need a little more power to push it out. You're going to need a spring shock, or you're going to need AMF's light ball sensor or our light ball clutch. Our light ball clutch is really cool. You saw it in the video. Works real well. They're easy enough to install now. We've made some changes on it to make it easier to adjust. The light ball clutch is, I don't know, maybe $15, $20 more than a spring shock, something like that. If you put a spring shock on, that'll get the pin out. The light ball clutch would be the ideal thing to do. But other than that, if when you put this thing in here, if you're having any ball calls at all, you should have 0 ball calls, absolutely guaranteed. If you don't have 0 ball calls, give us a shout on the phone. We got a toll-free 800 number. It's right on the instruction book. Give us a call. Tell us what the problem is. We'll walk you through anything. Very rarely do you have problems with putting these kicker conversion units in. And providing they're adjusted properly, unless you have something really oddball with your machine that needs to be addressed. I mean, you're going to put it in, it's just going to take off. So just make sure it works right. Don't live with a problem. Once you put this thing in, make sure it works. You paid good money for it. You want to make sure you get your ball back. And that's what it's all about. And between the warranty and everything else, it's a great unit. And it should be absolutely trouble-free. Thank you for taking the time to look at the video, taking the time to look at the instructions and so forth. And refer to the installation manual. There's things in there that I didn't mention. Like, for instance, there's different types of rudder arms. So when you go to put your paddle on, you don't want it falling off. If you're putting a PBL type paddle, which is the paddle we sell, on a rudder arm that was originally made for a kicker type one, there's 3 different styles of that. So you might want to just refer to the book to see how that should go on. Other than that, I think we're pretty much set. Thank you again.